Well, what I do know is email is inexpensive, but it's also ineffective. Only 1 in 5 emails are ever read. Close to 98% of text messages are opened and read in under 5 minutes. We have customers that text beats every other channel 5 to 1 in terms of completion of payment, reduces charge-offs by 10%. Collections rates, they go up. DSO goes down. Consumers are happy. 90% of people who went delinquent, they went delinquent because they didn't get an alert or a reminder.
This is the Fintech One-on-One podcast, the show for fintech enthusiasts looking to better understand the leaders shaping fintech and banking today. My name is Peter Renton, and since 2013, I've been conducting in-depth interviews with fintech founders and banking executives. On the show today, we have Dave Baxter, the CEO of Solutions by Text, a compliance-first text and payments platform. We talk about the power of the text message, the astounding attention it receives, and why now is the time for financial services to embrace it. They call their platform FinText, as they are completely focused on consumer financial services, bringing real-time payments and more to the text channel. We dive deeply into what is involved in bringing a text platform into the production workflow of fintechs and banks. Now let's get on with the show. Welcome to the podcast, Dave.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. So let's kick it off by giving the listeners a little bit of background. I was looking at your LinkedIn. You've been at some big names in finance. Why don't you tell us some of the highlights of your career to date?
Really began my career at America Online, where my job was to educate the membership on online financial services and then monetize via those partnerships with the likes of the E-Trades and Ameritrades and Citibanks and the Wells Fargos of the world. And I guess that was sort of the beginning, if you will, of fintech, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. Large financial institutions starting to have an online presence back in the late 1990s. I then went to a company that was acquired by FIS, where I spent 6 years building out a global business for FIS that we had eventually sold to First Data, and then that gave me an opportunity to get back up to the Northeast, where I am today in Princeton, New Jersey, building a bill pay company that is now subsequently part of ACI Worldwide, where I was running global sales for ACI Worldwide, and I had always had a sort of a passion, if you will, for how it is that people view and pay their bills. So in the beginning, it was a lot of online banking, then it moved to home banking, then it moved to online transactions, so empowering billers to communicate with their customers, whether it's over the web, IVR, call center technology, and then that, of course, turned into apps, and we're moving closer and closer to a real-time and an on-demand world. And so how did I get here to what I'm doing today? I had received a phone call from a partner at Edison Partners, and asking if I would want to be on a board of one of their portfolio companies, which I respectfully declined because I didn't know much about the nature of accounting software, so I didn't think I could add some value. And then the conversation had turned into they were looking at a compliant-led messaging platform that focuses specifically in financial services, which then rang a bell because ACI Worldwide resells SBT. And I didn't commit to being the CEO at that time, but most certainly was going to help out my buddies at Edison, try to get an opportunity together as the two founders of SBT were really looking to exit the business. They built it to about as big as they could get it, and Edison had real big plans for the possibility of really commercializing messaging. And anyways, couldn't get a deal done. So it all fell apart in January of 2021. And at that point, I now started to learn a little bit about the messaging business, about SBT, the nature of their customers. And I felt like they were missing a key ingredient, which was payments. So of the billions of transactions that run across our platform, about 50 to 60% or so are related to an opportunity to execute a bill pay, a one-time payment, set up recurring payments, a split pay, a service fee, a promise to pay, whatever it may be. So I went back to the two founders and I let them know that, hey, I'd be willing to rewrite the SIM, but I want to be the CEO. And lo and behold, I did, and here I am today. But it took about 10 months to get done, and I haven't looked back since. It was categorically the best decision of my career, and really transforming how it is that people view and pay their bills in a world that is closer and closer to real time. It's on demand. Most bill payments are made as a result of an alert or a reminder. 60% of all payments are made one time. And what not a better place, because the consumer is going to win than that of a message, right? So 60% of all bill pays, and there's roughly 7 billion bill pays, or $17 trillion. We focus in consumer finance, supporting auto, mortgage, student loans, card issuers, marketplace lending. And we've got some big marquee stadium brands that we facilitate really that communication effort. And it runs from acquisition to delinquency and back. So I can help a card issuer in real time open an account, service the account. Marketplace lending, I can help remarket these loans. I can handle the specificity around accounts receivable management. So we lead with compliance. We focus in very highly regulated markets because they're incredibly difficult to traverse, and payments hangs off of the platform. So if you think about everything that you could be doing in a call center, we do that over messaging. So in and outbound messages. And I characterize the platform as this compliant orchestration layer for in and outbound messages, whether that's RCS, MMS, SMS, and so on and so forth.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So before we dig into all of that, I do want to get a little bit of context here, because, you joined, as you said, in 2021, but the company's been around for quite some time. Was the company in financial services much before then, or what was the solutions by text that they were offering?
I think the brothers, they just naturally fell into consumer finance, though there were, other industries that they would support, whether it was Major League Baseball franchise teams, food and beverage, travel, hospitality, kind of, ran the gamut of many different industries. But I became laser focused, and let's just get really, really good in a particular vertical. And I just felt compelled to niche down and dominate consumer fi.
Right. Okay. So today, is that the vast majority of your business?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So we consciously exited some of those other industries. We got so focused that when I came on board, there were just under 1,500 accounts. Now we service about 700 accounts, yet the business is about 7 times bigger than what it was in 2000, 6 times bigger than what it was in 2021.
Wow. Okay. So then, who are you targeting as a user? I mean, you mentioned some of the different verticals. Are you finding banks are as receptive as fintechs? I mean, you talk about marketplace lending. That's there. I can imagine they would be early adopters, but tease that out a little bit more.
This is actually fascinating. Last year, though texting for you and I, it's ubiquitous. Mm-hmm. It's the most preferred and effective channel, right? Think about just your daily life. If you look at, depending on generation, on average, people look at their phones roughly 23 times per hour. They're on their phones roughly 13 hours a day. Text messages are opened and read. 98% of text messages are opened and read in under 5 minutes. And yet, out of our new logo wins last year, 75% of our new logo wins last year they hadn't been texting in the past because they were definitely afraid of trying to traverse the complexities of telecommunications, highly regulated business, FCC, SEC, CFPB, CTIA. So, right, but that's where we come in. And so we keep our customers on the right side of compliance. So who are we talking to at these large financial institutions? We're talking to somebody who is thinking about originating an auto loan. We're talking to somebody who is thinking about servicing an auto loan or a mortgage or a card. We're thinking about somebody who is upselling and cross-selling new products and services within a financial institution. So marketing. We're talking about people that are deeply concerned about customer care and thinking about how do I augment my call centers and empowering in and outbound messaging. We've got a large card issuer, as an example, who they leverage us in their call center. They have repurposed call center seats for people that just do text in outbound messages. So they were able to take what was an 8-minute time to resolution. So think about, you call a call center, I'm opening a card, I'm closing a card, I'm disputing a transaction, I'm making a payment, whatever it may be, right? That generally takes roughly 8 minutes. But because of a text and the levels of anonymity that texting provides, speed and accuracy, the conversations are curated. So I know what you had called about in the past or texted in the past. I can work on multiple cases at once. Time to resolution on average for a text message in that call center went from 8 minutes to 2 minutes. So we're really talking, across the enterprise. Anybody who's just really concerned about how am I issuing new loans? How am I servicing these loans? How am I marketing new products and services to my existing base? How am I taking care of my customers and empowering them to think about my days sales outstanding? What am I doing to really meet consumers where it is that they want to be met over their most preferred channel that they're on? As I said, close to 13 hours a day. The consumer is always going to win. Yet these businesses were just deathly afraid of leveraging the power of text until Solutions by Text came along, because we characterize ourselves as allies. We think about the concerns of the telecommunications providers and what they're trying to prevent over across their channel. And what they're trying to prevent is exactly what happened in email, right? Spam. So we are allies of the industries that we service. We're allies to our customers, keeping them on the right side of compliance. And of course, we're allies, amongst ourselves. So yeah, we talk to people, really across the enterprise and educating them as to the merits of messaging.
Right. So you've mentioned compliance several times. What are the pitfalls that someone's listening to this and they haven't used text messaging before? What are the pitfalls and how can you assuage their concerns about using text messaging?
Sure. So our tech stack is built for purpose around compliance. So we understand, is it Peter? Is it his phone? Is it a mobile phone? Where is Peter? What time of day is it? How many times have we contacted Peter? Under what context? Is it in the right time of day? What is in the message is as equally important, right? Because we're dealing with sometimes messages that could be, financial services related, right? I could be sharing, I have access to account numbers, amounts, and due dates, and funding information. So any of that goes wrong, it creates a lot of risks for our customers. So we know exactly who it is, where you're at, who your carrier is, how many times you were messaged, whether you've opted in, whether you've opted out. We are built around templates, so we understand exactly what can and cannot be said, which is terribly important, right? And we work in real time, so we take a look at these templates and we leverage AI to validate the templates to make sure that all of our messages are in compliance with all of the regulatory bodies that I had mentioned. So that is a really, really challenging endeavor to take on, which is why that's what is a major differentiator for Solutions by Text, where it characterizes the leader in and outbound compliant messages. Now, that's not to say that if you're like a if you think you can do it on your own, just go for it, right? But you take a look at some of my competitors, and they're built for developers by developers, and they don't want any part of getting in the middle of compliance. But that's really where we shine. We really shine, and thinking about compliance every single day. We're very close to the regulators. We're very close to the people that are making up the rules, and we appreciate that, right? As good allies. As I said earlier, to the industries that we service. And being compliant, I also think, sure, there are the technical aspects about being compliant, but I also think being that trusted advisor and a leader in compliance, and sitting and having a seat as a trusted advisor to the regulators for many, many years, that is something that you cannot build or buy, right? That is something that takes a very long time to be able to become the trusted advisor in all things compliance, right? And so we call our platform FinTech for a reason, because we sit in the center of financial services, servicing financial institutions, lenders, and then on the other side, we're sitting in the highly regulated world of telecommunications, right? So both the financial institutions and payments and managing to those rules, as well as appreciating how the CFPB operates and thinking about the telcos. So that's why our platform is called FinTech, because we sit squarely in the center of both industries.
Right. So when a company comes to you, do they typically come with a specific problem, like they want to work on their collections, or they want to make it easier for someone to send a payment? Because, you've just described like a huge number of use cases. I imagine that when a company comes to you, they don't say, we're just going to convert everything to text. What is the use case, the most popular use case where they come to you first for?
The most popular use case tends to be in collections and payments. Mm-hmm. So we land in collections and payments, and then we expand into the other use cases. That's most of the time. That's not to say that we just had a very large auto lender. They're using us in servicing and marketing.
I'm just curious. Do you have sort of benchmarks about? You've talked about 8 minutes down to 2 minutes. That's phenomenal. Yeah. But I'm curious about in the collection space, or getting someone to pay, whether it's might be part of a sort of an accounts receivable process. They might not be late though. Is there sort of effectiveness of text compared to email as far as successfully securing payment?
Well, what I do know is email is inexpensive, but it's also ineffective. Only 1 in 5 emails are ever read. Close to 98% of text messages are opened and read in under 5 minutes. We have customers that text beats every other channel 5-1 in terms of completion of payment, reduces charge-offs by 10%. Collections rates, they go up. DSO goes down. Consumers are happy. 90% of people who went delinquent because they didn't get an alert or a reminder. They just didn't know that their payment was due or what the due date was, and that's where we come into place. So, really meeting consumers where it is that they want to be met.
Right. So then I'm curious about how you interface with existing systems, and someone says, right, I do want to implement you guys. They've obviously got their loan management system that they're using. How do you onboard a client, and how do you interface with existing systems?
All roads, I've been articulating this, and to the extent that all roads, because of where we're sitting and being the leader in consumer-fi messaging, all roads are leading back to SBT. So I think about these ecosystems, and I think about who are we partnering with, in the loan origination systems across, because it varies. If you're a mortgage lender, you're selling banking product, you're selling cards, you're selling auto. So we interface with the loan origination systems. We integrate to the loan management systems, billing and payment systems, the various systems of records, because we're only as good as the information that we're able to extract in real time about said consumer to then propagate in a way that is meaningful to the end user, that is also personalized. Is one of the best things that we do. We think about, I was talking to a large credit union, and well, how can you improve my business? Well, I can give your members a bespoke experience, right? It is tailored to them, as opposed to just, pumping out an email that was meant for everybody. We can really personalize messaging, and especially as it relates to payments. Our payment text pay is very unique in the market, given that we know for that first transaction. So we've got all the different payment types and wallets and split pay and service fee, but that first transaction, I know that it's Peter. I know who your auto lender is. I know the amount due, the due date, your address, and then as soon as I capture that funding information, which I then store, tokenize, and vault, subsequent transactions are just based off of a keyword. So you get a message from whoever your auto lender is. Your amount is this. It's due tomorrow. Would you like to make payment right now? Reply yes, or reply with an emoji, or whatever the driving factor is. That's actually the one of the best things we do. So we have about 65-ish integrations built all around consumer finance, from acquisition to delinquency and everything in between. So it's we really sit in the center of this ecosystem and trying to, as I said, extract the relevant information at the right time to then compliantly push to our customer's customer.
Right. So then I just want to clarify something. So when you said that someone can process a payment just by replying yes, but I presume that's after you've got their information. And then when you're first connecting with them and you send them a link, I presume the destination of that link is very carefully thought about, right? Because if you put in 5 layers of friction, the link is pointless then.
Pointless,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what happens typically when someone taps a link on their phone? I'd love to get a sense of what the typical situation is.
So for that first transaction, we drive a customer to a site that is already pre-populated for you. So it's already, I know who you are, I know your address, I know your account information, I know the amount due. What I'm lacking is the funding type. So once I capture the funding type, that's the only thing I'm going to ask you to do. When I capture the funding type, you then submit payment, and now I have your funding type. So for all future transactions, it's then driven by a keyword. That will change once we start pushing RCS, the rich communications and wallets. It would be it's a much richer experience. I can do everything via RCS that I can do in an app. And if you have, let's say, for example, you've got Google Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal, we would take that payment right in the experience as well, if we don't have the funding information. So look, nobody gets excited in the morning to go except for me. Like, I love bill pay, but nobody gets excited in the morning to think about bill pay. But it's just it's a have to do. It's not a nice to do. And I just want to create the best user experience in a way that provides the right levels of anonymity depending on where you are in your relationship with the biller, but also just make it a super easy experience, right? Just a super easy experience. And we're transforming, really turning off paper and imagine a world where I can now start delivering documents, right, with MMS and opening accounts. I can share with you my W-2, my proof of address, my driver's license. Working on a use case right now with a large financial institution, leveraging RCS to not only originate a new credit card, but then also drop a virtual card in an RCS in real time to that person's phone, which would then get populated into your mobile wallet, so you can start, transacting immediately.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that is really cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about the end user, the person receiving the texts, because you said that 98% of people read a text in 5 minutes. I'm just thinking about, I have a teenage daughter who, she texts 100 to 200 times a day. Then I imagine there's older people who, don't text. I don't text 200 times a day, I can tell you that. But is there a difference in demographics as far as the effectiveness, or you find this sort of cuts across all ages?
It cuts across all ages without a doubt. Though I would say Gen X and younger, the numbers do they do improve. Which it's fascinating to me. Over 90% of all customers say that, yeah, I would love to make a bill pay over text. Yet only, I want to say somewhere just north of 30% have been given the opportunity. Yeah,
You got work to do.
we have a lot to do for sure. Yeah.
You mentioned AI before, and I, as you've been talking, I've been thinking about this quite a bit because there's a lot of AI chatbots out there now where you can, you can have a chat, you can even have a chat via text or whatever. So I'd like to see, like you to sort of share exactly how you're using AI. You mentioned one use case, but does it sort of permeate your business, or what do you do?
I have different opinions about AI, just given like the levels of pretty sensitive to the information that's being in and outbound messages, right? As I said earlier, it's being compliance. Also, you need to have a deep appreciation for the message and the dialogue that is happening, in and out of those messages, right? So we're a little bit sensitive to that, and that's why we leverage AI in reviewing our templates to make sure that those templates are in compliance with, right? That's what we're doing. Now, I do think that there is a world where we could engage and empower, let's say, a delinquent consumer to self-cure their debt in a two-way text that could be driven with AI based on our customers' business rules. So if, let's say I'm delinquent on my mortgage, we know what the large financial institutions' appetite is for negotiating that debt. I could see that happening, right? I could see offers being made. I could see making up a series of payments. I could see loan modifications. I could see promise to pays, split payments. So that's where I think we could be, leveraging AI in ways that is just simply not happening today.
Gotcha. Okay. I want to talk about a study that you did. This is sort of the catalyst for our conversation because I was looking at this study with Datos Insights. It was from last month. If you could share some of the findings of that study and what did you learn?
At the highest of levels, I think what I learned was just, truly validating through the lens of consumers the need and the desire to want to be met where they're at, which is their mobile phone, right? The other thing is the numbers, they keep on improving. They keep on improving, and businesses, this is not a nice to do anymore. This is mission critical. I was speaking to the CEO of a large marketplace lender. When their other texting provider went down, they were using that texting provider for online applications. Their application delivery rate or acceptance rate went down 40% during the time period by which they were not accepting applications over text. So consumers are demanding to be met over text. Businesses are afraid of traversing the complexities of the regulatory environment. And I think that's been really the barrier to entry, but it's got to change. So,
right.
When I think about, the information from Datos, it's just very validating for who we are, who we service, how we service them, and why we're on this journey. And it's really to just provide it's like I had that aha moment many, many years ago when I had my first Uber ride living in New York City, and I never rode a yellow cab again.
Gotcha.
It was just a better experience.
Yeah. So last question, I'm curious to know is like, it sounds like what you're saying is every single financial institution in the country should be using text and they all should be using SBT, right? But I'm curious about what do you see as the potential for SBT? I mean, 100% of the market is not realistic, but where are you taking this? What's the potential here?
I think we're going to be the category leader of in and outbound compliant messages. That's what I think. And I believe that everything that you do and how you communicate with your bank today is going to change. I think how you open an account, how your account gets serviced, how you want to make a bill pay, how you want to discover new product and services with your financial institution, your auto lender, your mortgage service provider, your card issuer is forever going to change. I see, as I mentioned earlier, the call centers, I think you're going to, nobody wants to get a phone call, right? I do not pick up my phone if I don't recognize the number.
Same here.
I hate calling call centers because it's ineffective. It takes too long. They don't have that information readily, available. I want to communicate the way that I prefer. I prefer to get in and out with levels of anonymity and speed, effectiveness, and efficient, and that happens throughout the entire customer journey with whoever their relationships are. I think we are going to, I think we're going to lead that way. I think we're going to bring RCS to North America, along with our partners, and I think we're going to dominate B2C compliant messages. That's what I think. Our competitors are, the large competitors. We've got a head start in some of these areas. We're like squarely focused in consumer fi, so we understand the dynamics of the regulatory environments and consumer finance. We also have a deep appreciation of telco. We got a bit of we have a bit of a head start. I think it's our laser focus is going to really help us win the market. We're not building for developers by developers, and we'd love to see what you build on our platform. We provide that levels of service that hey, look, our NPS score doesn't lie. It's 74. So our customers love us. Our retention rates are world class. Our net revenue retention rate is as high as I have. I think it's 135. So our customers are growing. They're using us for different use cases. We're clearly the marketplace leader. We get a ton of inbound inquiries from large banks, and I think we're scratching the surface. Even with all this success, Peter, I honestly think we are truly scratching the surface. I think our volume has doubled every year since I've been here, and I think we're going to continue to do that, if not more, once we can really gain some traction at the largest financial institutions when they embrace really meeting their customers where it is that they want to meet it. And there's just no denying that you're on your phone the vast majority of the day, right? And if I can get that best experience, why would I ever want to log back into a website?
Right. Yeah, understood. Well, I can hear the passion in your voice and see your enthusiasm over the video here. And it's best of luck to you. I think it's a really interesting application, and what you're doing, I think, is really helping a lot of consumer finance companies. And as I said, there's a lot of runway ahead of you.
Thank you.
We are living in a more mobile phone-centric world. That, I think, is undeniable. Our phone is already where we verify our identity, and a large percentage of the population uses the mobile wallet on our phone for payments. It isn't much of a stretch to see text messaging for payments becoming ubiquitous, particularly when information is all pre-populated when you click on a link, and all you need to do is enter your payment information, which could just be a seamless connection to your mobile wallet. For those who don't want to set up an automatic payment, this is probably the next best thing. Anyway, that's it for today's show. If you enjoy these episodes, please go ahead and subscribe, tell a friend, and leave a review. And thank you so much for listening.